Welcome to week 5 of your mobility routine. This week we're going to continue practicing controlled articular rotations, but we're going to be also pulling in a method called end range isometrics. Now, as we continue through all these exercises as part of your mobility routine, I always want you to remember those 3 core principles of isolate, rotate, and control. We have 5 things to get through. We're going to start off with a few cars, so let's go ahead and get started. Join me on the floor in the seated position. Again, if this is a struggle for you, you can do them from a standing or seated in a chair. Starting off with shoulder cars. Position your hands, get your trunk nice and stiff, right arm straight, palm up, sweeping across the nose, coming across bicep up to the ear. Rotate the arm away from your head as you continue to reach back through that circle, making the biggest circle you can. Like there's a marker attached to the tip of your middle finger. You got to do the biggest, smoothest circle you can. Keep twisting the arm as you continue. Once you hit the end of your range, reverse. Start to lift, unwind, bring that shoulder or that bicep back up to your ear. Sweep across the nose. 2 more of those. Match my speed and my pace the best that you can. While you're also matching my speed and my pace, I want you to keep yourself nice and stiff in your midsection. Especially as we rotate back and finish our circle, your trunk's going to want to go with your arm. You keep that trunk nice and square forward. Stiffen your belly. I even flex my butt muscles while I'm here just to help me stay nice and rigid. This comes down to the whole isolation principle. We're isolating all the motion from this one joint. Then we are focusing on that rotation element, twisting the upper arm bone in the socket as we work through this arc of motion. Last one. And then that final principle of making that rotation in that arc of motion, not only to the end ranges of your motion at every point during this circle, but also you're controlling every degree of it. Good work so far. Still matching my pace. Still stiff in the tummy. Exploring those ranges, embracing those sticky parts of the range if you have them still. Left arm. Across the body. Bicep to the nose. Pay attention to how the left side feels compared to the right. Moving nice and slow. Controlling all of that motion. Now, as we move slow, you can slow down through those spots that are extra sticky and stiff for you. The last few weeks, we've practiced a few ways that you can kind of do an instant rewind or stopping at one point in that circle and then just focusing on twisting the upper arm bone in the socket, really focusing in on some of those spaces that are extra stiff for you. Continue that motion, stay in control, trunk forward. When we expose this joint to all these different ranges, especially the shoulder is built for big ranges of motion. When we explore those ranges of motion often, the shoulder becomes more resilient to them. And that's what we want ultimately for stronger, healthier joints. Next, we're going to do trunk cars. I'm going to start off facing the side to give you a side view. This is where we give ourselves a bear hug. Sit up nice and tall. You can stay in the seated position with me if you feel like you need to stand. That's fine. We're going to keep the arms plastered to the rib cage. That marker is now attached to the top elbow that we're going to draw a big smooth circle with. So round forward, really get the upper back to stretch out. Then we're going to rotate to the left until you run out of room. Once you run out of room, keep rotating to the left then as you try to sit as upright as you can. Feel those muscles in the mid-back really kick on. Keep pulling upright as you rotate over to the opposite side. Run out of room, round back down.
Back to the starting point. 2 more this direction. You're going to really want to lift your arms away from your ribs to try to help you sit more upright. Make sure that you keep them plastered down. Maximize every range before you move on to the next. That means as I rotate until I can't rotate anymore, but I keep trying to. Then that's when I add that sitting upright component. Again, till I run out of room. Keep trying to sit upright for this last circle, rotating to the right. Really feel those ribs open up as you curl back down. Good. We're going to go to the right for 3. Bear hug. Top elbow is your focus point for that marker. Curl. Rotate. Run out of room, sitting upright. I personally prefer to do this one from seated on the floor like this because it really does help keep the hips and the lower back from helping. Helps me maintain that degree of isolation that we're looking for, that first principle here. This is number 2 for me. When I sit up and I'm facing to my right, I feel like the left side of my spine contracts really hard. And then as I rotate over to the left, I feel like the opposite side of my spine turns on. Last one. Rotate hard as far as you can, sitting upright. I also find it's a little bit more of a challenge to breathe normally when I'm doing this one. If you're experiencing the same thing, just control your breaths as you slowly work through it. Good. Next is something new. We're going to perform a shoulder internal rotation stretch and isometric contraction. To do that, I have a box sitting on the floor next to me. What might be easier for you is if you pull up a chair next to a table or a counter in your house, where when you put your arm on that surface, that your elbow is about the same height as your shoulder, maybe a little bit lower. That way you can lean on that table, you can rest your upper arm on that surface, and then just let your wrist hang off like you see it here. Now, we're going to take our opposite hand, apply some additional pressure into the shoulder, and it should start to feel like it winds tight deep in the back of this shoulder. Something to be mindful of as you do this is to not let the shoulder shrug up to your ear. So you should be starting to feel that stretch deep in the back side. If you need to adjust, like you can take your chest, your trunk, and you can rotate further into that arm, rotate around until you get that tension deep in the shoulder. Shouldn't feel like a typical muscle stretch. It's not covering a big area. It should feel fairly localized. Now, we're going to hold this for 2 minutes total. We're about 30 seconds into this hold so far. And the whole point is to prepare the shoulder joint for these isometric contractions. And just a brief overview of isometrics. They are when a muscle contracts very hard, but it doesn't actually move anything. Like if you try to pick up something really heavy off the ground, and it happens to be too heavy. You work really hard, nothing moves. Your muscles flexed hard, nothing moved. That's an isometric contraction. And that's what we're about to do with the muscles that are currently being stretched. We have less than a minute left. This 2-minute hold where you're sustaining that stretch is very important, simply because it communicates with the tissues that actually hold the joint together, not just the muscles, which we're all typically used to stretching. This is actually stretching the connective tissues, the ligaments, all that stuff very deep in the joint, and that's ultimately where we build our mobility. In about 15 seconds, we're going to start our first contraction. So this contraction will be you trying to rotate your arm
out of the stretch against your hand that's applying pressure, but nothing's actually going to move because your hand is going to match the pressure that your shoulder joint is generating. So let's begin. Gradually, very slowly at first, try to rotate your arm up out of the stretch against the resistance of your hand. On a scale of 1 to 10 with how hard you're pushing, start off at a 1, then bring it up to a 2, then a 3, then a 4. Now, if this starts to bother your shoulder, you can back out of the range a little bit to where it doesn't bother your shoulder. Keep pushing up to a 4, up to a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now you should feel like you're pushing as hard as you can. You should feel some shakiness in the shoulder and a lot more tightness deep in that shoulder area. Keep holding. I want to hold this contraction for a grand total of about 60 seconds. We have 10 seconds left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Gradually start to relax, but keep your hands in place. You're not coming out of the stretch yet. Now you're going to contract the opposite muscles, the ones that would pull you further down into the stretch. The way you can gauge it is keep your hand, your opposing hand right here up against your wrist, and then see if you can actually rotate that arm further down and in away from that hand, trying to create a gap. Try your best. Keep holding that contraction. Don't relax it. We're holding these for about 20 to 30 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Now we're going to switch over to the other side. So go ahead and get in that position on your opposite arm. Again, using that table or surface where your elbow's about even with your shoulder. Let that arm rest off. And then take that opposite hand, apply some pressure until you feel it wind tight deep in the back of the shoulder here. The primary sensation you should be feeling is tightness or tension. If you're feeling a pinching in the backside, if you're feeling a pinching in more of the top side of the shoulder, back out of the range so you don't feel that pinch. We only want to work within ranges of motion that don't give you that pinching sensation. Again, we're going to hold this position for roughly 2 minutes and then go straight into those isometric contractions. This is a good time for you to try to relax as much as you can. Focus on maybe breathing in and out through your nose rather than your mouth. Breathing in and out through your nose helps you use your diaphragm more than your rib cage to breathe. We have about 1 minute left here in this hold. Especially if a position is very tight, very uncomfortable for you, sometimes it can make your heart rate go up a little bit. So being able to breathe regularly, rhythmically in and out through your nose can really help you kind of down regulate that response. A little under 30 seconds left. A big thing that is important with holds such as these, and these are going to be a regular occurrence going throughout the next few weeks of your mobility program, is whenever you feel like you want to come out of your stretch and adjust, it's important that you actually stay in your stretch. That 2 minutes of continual tension does a lot for the deep tissues and even the cells of those tissues in your shoulder joint. From here, let's go ahead and begin our first contraction. This is when you're trying to rotate out of the stretch. Starting off light, I'm actually going to back out of the range just a little bit. Starting off light on a scale of 1 to 10 with how hard you're pushing, a 1, then a 2, a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is where I start to get shaky, is about the 8, 9. Now you should feel like you're pushing as hard as you can. We're holding this contraction for a grand total of about 60 seconds. Maintain the effort. Maintain your position. Really try to keep your shoulder from shrugging up into your ear. 10 seconds left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Gradually relax. And then we're going to try to do the opposite. Keeping your hand right here in space, you're going to flex the muscles going the opposite direction now, trying to pull that arm, rotate it down and in. Keep doing this. Keep rotating down. 30-second hold. Good. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Relax. That was a very shoulder specific range of motion exercise. And if you think about it, those three principles still apply. We are isolating a specific motion and stretch. We are emphasizing rotation with our contractions. And we are also controlling the intensity of those contractions. 2 more exercises. We're heading back to cars for the spine and the hips. So join me on hands and knees. We're going to do our segmenting spine first.
That means we start all the way up in our cat position. Feel everything along the spine stretch, flexing the belly. Now starting at the lower back, moving into the the cow. So arching in just the lower back. Get those muscles at the dimples of the lower back to fire up, and then slowly creep your way up your spine. Working through the lower back. Into the base of the mid back. Into the upper back. The area between the shoulder blades, really fire those up. I think I'm trying to pull my breastbone as close to the floor as I can. And then head up. Holding for a breath or two, reversing the motion. Chin tuck, base of the neck to the sky. Then the vertebra below that. Slowly work your way back down. Until you're all the way back in that cat position. Good. Let's do one more. Full segmentation up and down. Full cat position. Starting at the base. First, get that contraction strength at the very base of your lower back, again where those dimples would be, and then maintain that, but then try to get that contraction to spread up the spine one level at a time. I find sometimes that as I do this, I have to focus on getting it to spread up my spine on both sides equally. Sometimes I tend to contract one side a little harder than the other, and you can feel it. So then I just try to get the other side to be equal. Good. Full extension, reversing. Base of the neck to the sky. Work your way back down, stretching it out between the shoulder blades first. Continue working your way down one piece at a time. Into the mid back, into the low back, until you're in your full cat position again. All right, last exercise, hip cars. You can do these on your hands and knees. I'm going to perform them on my forearms and knees. Left leg first. Knees under the hips. Bend your left leg so you're trying to touch your heel to your butt. Heel to sky. Stay nice and stiff through your trunk as this part comes. You don't want that whole pelvis to open. Knee to sky. Knee to elbow. Moving nice and slow. Sometimes you want to get a little choppy with the ranges. Again, heel to sky. Be honest with yourself. Only let the hip move. Make it nice and smooth. Last one this direction. Heel to sky, knee to sky, knee to elbow. Reversing, knee's already at the elbow. We bring knee to sky, heel to sky. Really try to drive that heel up. That's emphasizing rotation at the hip. 2 more just like it. Knee to elbow, knee to sky, heel to sky. Last one on this side. Make it smooth and controlled. Get every ounce of range you can out of that hip socket. Excellent. Opposite leg. Let's finish this up. Heel to butt. Now heel to sky. Really try to keep that knee bent too. You'll realize that your hamstring gets pretty fired up when you do that. Again, same direction. Always be honest with yourself. Again, that pelvis really wants to open when you pull that knee out to the sky, but you're going to keep it perfectly level with the floor. Number 2 is done. Heel to sky for number 3. Knee to sky. Knee to elbow. Reverse. Knee to sky. Really drive home that rotation. Heel to sky. Max out that range. Not only should you feel that deep in the hip socket, especially when you drive that heel to sky, should also kind of feel it deep in the butt muscle and the hamstring, really reaching that heel to the sky. Last one. Full range. Don't shortchange yourself. Don't get lazy with it. Move extra slow through that heel to sky portion, because I know it's probably pretty challenging for you, as it is for me. Excellent work. As you continue to practice these this week, don't forget those 3 core principles. We've been hammering on them all the weeks until now, of isolate that motion, isolate the joint and the motion, emphasize rotation, and exercise control over every degree.